Test. Can you all hear me? Yes. All right, good morning. Thanks for having me. This is my first time public speaking. All right. You know, as many stages, I've played so many stages in my lifetime, but it's different when you don't have the music. So it's good to see you all. Again, my name is Michael Millions. I'm a hip hop artist, studio engineer, studio owner. Again, you've heard that I have 8 studio albums. I've worked on 150 plus other albums for artists. If any artists are in the room, make some noise if I've worked on your music. Some of that work has gone into film and has gotten awards and some film festivals. And most recently, I had the opportunity to work on 2 Grammy-nominated albums for our very own Mad Skills. And shout out to my brother Radio B and Alex Mack. They also received their first Grammys this year as well. All right, so peace and love. All right, so peace and love to my family and my friends, and I want to say thank you to Creative Mornings, Lindsay George, Martin Agency for hosting us, and again, I'll be your speaker on the topic of innovation. But at the core of all you just heard, I think I've spent my life just turning invisible ideas into things that we could feel. So when this conversation came to me as a musician, innovation, I wasn't sure if I was the person for the job. So I bet you're wondering how I got here. Now I'm gonna keep it short. I'm not even gonna give you that story, but I wanted to shout out my mom and dad that are here. But the truth is, earlier this year I attended a Creative Mornings, and Lindsay George proposed the idea of me speaking on the topic of innovation. And I was like, me? Like you want a rap artist, black dude with braids to come up and speak about innovation? I wasn't sure if she was serious. In my world, there's a lot of people that come up and say, hey, let's do this, let's do that, and it never materializes. And a lot of things do materialize, but I'm like, yo, this is my first time. Look at all these people. And it was in, I don't remember where it was, Studio 2-3, and it looked like a creative church house. And I was like, you want me to speak here? So I thought about that response, and that response has followed me in my life the whole time, the really me thing. And I could think about 4 stories, and I'll go into one right now. It was about 2012, and I had just released my album called The Color Purple. And at the time, I was doing a lot of interviews. I didn't want to. I was kind of overdoing just interviews. They were for any super large major publications. A lot of interviewers were just pretty new, and they were asking me the same questions over and over again, like, hey, what inspires you? When did you get into music? What got you here? How did we, it was the same questions over and over. So that particular day I decided to not do any interviews. I wanted to cancel them all. So I thought I'd accomplish that mission, all but one call. So top of the afternoon, I get a call. Bing! I answer the phone. It's an out of town call from New York. And when I answer the phone, it goes like this. Hello, is this Michael? I'm like, yeah. They're like, hi, this is Denitha Jones. I was calling about your interview today. Are you available? And immediately, I mute the phone. I'm like, shh. I don't even want to do this. And because I thought I canceled everything. So I got myself together. I go upstairs to the office that was upstairs. I unmute the phone. Hello? I'm ready now. And she's like, hold on for a second. I'm going to get this tape recording started. And we could start from there. I'm like, okay, cool. So she starts the recording and she goes, This is Denitha Jones, chief editor of The Source magazine. I'm calling you about your album, Color Purple. And I froze. I was like, oh, I was slumped in my chair and I stood up. I said, excuse me, what did you say? And so she stopped. She said, did I say your name wrong? Did I mention the album wrong? Did I do something wrong? I said, no. Where are you calling from? And she said, The Source magazine. I said, The Source? She said, yeah, you know, the Biggie line, smiles every time my face is up in the Source, that Source? So I was like, oh, and I took that interview. Yeah. And that interview, from that point, that interview changed my life. That was the first time a Richmond artist had been in the Source magazine or mentioned in the Source since about 2000, and that was about 2012. And that was the beginning of a different era, a different trajectory in my life. Denitha Jones, the woman who called me the chief editor of The Source, became my first manager in music. Well, not my first manager, but my first manager as an independent artist. And we did some great things together. One thing about that story though, always answer your phone. You know, because it brings you back to those really me moments. So there was a couple of other phone calls that I got that were very important where I was like, me. How many of you all have heard of the muralist Niels Westergaard? Okay, so Niels Westergaard is an amazing world-renowned muralist. You've probably seen his work many times around Richmond, but he gave me a call and wanted to paint a mural of me. I'm like, me? That was another me moment, and that's right beside the Mama J's, right beside the legendary Mama J's restaurant on the Good People Studio wall. So if you ever on First Street in Jackson Ward, there's a picture of Michael there. There was another phone call I got from Mass Appeal. Mass Appeal is a creative entity record label. But they called me because they wanted me to play a show with the legendary Nas here at the National. Just me and Nas. Me? You want me to do this? And then last year on November 8th, 2024, when I got the call from Mad Skills that we were now Grammy nominated. So always answer your phone. And again, each time I was in those situations that I just mentioned, of course it was disbelief. Just like when Lindsay asked, we just met and she said, hey, I would love to have you speak. I was shocked. But I was like, okay, I'll do it. And each time it changed the trajectory of my life and how I saw things. So it's important to hold on to that. So when I first saw the word innovation, I immediately thought, I don't have any inventions. I don't have any patents. I haven't cured anything. I haven't cracked any new discoveries in the universe or in the deep ocean. You know, I actually only have one friend that's doing like futuristic work, in my opinion. Her name is Dr. Amy Rector over at VCU, who's actually finding links in our human evolution. But that's like super cool. So when I'm thinking like, what do I have to offer to the conversation of innovation? I assumed innovation was like outside of me, but I was completely wrong. And innovation as an artist is what we've been doing the whole time. Sorry, I gotta get some water. So, when I was about 8, 9, I was a regular kid. I wore the clothes my parents wanted me to wear. I ate the foods they wanted me to eat. I watched TV, I played with my little brother. I played video games. I was a regular kid. I went to the schools I had to go to. But I was always curious in music. I'm not sure if that curiosity was just beaming out of me, but one day, now, like I said, I was a normal kid. I felt normal. I say that because about 8 or 9 is the last time I remember just being a kid, you know, normal. You know what I mean? So I've been in suspended animation all this time, but so that curiosity in music, I don't know if it like rubbed off on my parents somewhere, they picked up on it, but one incredible morning or afternoon, I don't know, we'll just say day, they come into my room and say, hey, Mike, we got you something. And it was a boombox. Now, I don't know if my mom and dad remember this boombox, but this was the very boombox. And it was my favorite thing in life. I was playing, I remember the exact moment I was playing video games and my parents drop it to the side and I'm like, whoa, what's that? They're like, Mike, we got you some music. We got you a boombox. It came with 2 tapes. It was the Bodyguard soundtrack. And my other tape that was actually mine was Mary J. Blige, What's the 411? So those were the 2 tapes that my dad gave me. So it had obviously 2 cassette decks, the CD player at the top, the EQ, the volume. I love this thing. I think that was really my entry into engineering, wanting to just touch all the buttons and stuff. And there's stories that my dad tells a lot about me messing with his component system when I was a kid. But at any rate, I didn't know that this would be my first set of tools. From that point, I began to study music, listening to everything I could. My curiosity led me into wanting to write my own music and tell my own stories. But I'm only 8 years old. Now, I'm telling stories about the playground. And they were awful rhymes. I mean, I think I injected I think every line I would just try to add like a cuss word here. I mean, it was just bad. I didn't know what I was doing and I couldn't perform them for anybody, but that curiosity led me to making loop tapes or pause tapes. Does anybody know what a pause tape or a loop tape is in the room? All right, so that's where we find a loop in a record that we like. And you find that loop and you take your other blank tape and you would play the piece of the record that you like on one side and record it on the other side, just a little piece of loop. And we would do that enough times, and if you did it just perfect, you could get like a long track. So that was first. I was like, okay, now I have this tool that I could study music on, listen to music on, and now I'm sampling on it, I'm creating on it. That curiosity then led me down another rabbit hole of how could I make my own songs? Shortly after that, I found out that the other side of the headphones, one side actually operates as a microphone. I would take my mom's vacuum apart and there was this like corner attachment, you know what I'm talking about, the short corner attachment, get under things. Well, I would feed the line through that attachment and it'd hold the top of the headphone and I would use it as a microphone. And I'd feed it into the back and I would record my first songs that way or my first rhymes that way. And when I was thinking about this conversation about innovation, innovation isn't really about creating new things. It's about using the tools you have to create your new perspectives. Hold on 1 second. Oh yeah, sorry. I wasn't supposed to say that. But another thought it left me with was innovation is simply remixing the truth. And not the truth, but a truth. And even at 9 years old, if the truth for me was, yo, if I do these things, I could put this rhyme down, then that was the truth. But now we get to share different truths, and as creators and artists, that's what it's all about. So a quick show of hands, how many musicians are in the room? Okay. How many CEOs, brand specialists, I don't know, the creators? I know we have some chefs in the room. All right. Okay. So in music, we call it sampling. In ad agencies like Martin, they call it disruption. But it's all the same thing. It's taking something familiar, flipping it around, and making it new again. And allowing people to see it or experience it different. If you're a chef, my mom's a great cook. She experiments with different recipes from around the world. And once she gets them just right, it's an experience for us to, for our senses. But the truth is, innovation and music are the exact same hustle with the exact same muscles. Oh, sorry. I took that picture this morning before I had to the Vegas. Hold on, let me go to my next slide. So it got me thinking about this conversation. I said, okay, they want me to talk about innovation. So as I think about it in my world, I'm like, okay, maybe I was being a little innovative as a kid. But then I got to thinking about what is innovation. When we talk about innovation, we think of AI, tech, big budgets, big ideas, large companies with even bigger ideas, and I don't know, I think of science and the stars. I'm thinking of things that are so, I don't know, beyond, the word innovation always seems beyond the human point, but the truth of the matter is, what's real human innovation? I mean, what's innovation? It's human. It's emotional. It's messy. It's late nights. It's early mornings. It's missing your showers. It's using the wrong toothbrush. It's showing up to work the next morning realizing you have on mismatched socks. It's throwing spaghetti at a wall until you figure it out. A couple of nights back, I was out to dinner with my good friend, my brother Landon Schroeder, owner of RVA Magazine. Y'all make some noise for him. Where is he at? Oh, he was in here. But anyway, and as I was telling him about this talk, he related and said, yo, man, when I'm writing, sometimes it's always operational. And, but I have to, sometimes I just have to sit there and I have to cut on some music, no words in it. Coltrane, he said. And he'll just sit there and stare at the wall until his pen begins to move. So innovation is a human thing. That's when I started thinking about that. When I was recording my albums, Ghost of $20 Bills, Beautiful, Michael, Hard to Be King, and the 5 other projects that I have coming out, I wasn't reinventing instruments. I don't even invent anything, but but what I was doing was reinventing perspectives. Just like Quincy Jones and Michael Jackson weren't in the studio making instruments. Neither was Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg or any other people that we love in music. They weren't making instruments. They were making new perspectives on the ones they already had. And that's what we've all been doing. Innovation, again, is seeing something that everyone else sees, but hearing it completely different. I imagine if me and Alex or me and Radio had the same music, we would come up with we would all write incredible songs, but they wouldn't be the same, even if we had a topic. And that's the beautiful thing about innovation. So I started thinking about how does innovation work in my world? And I broke it down into 3 areas. And I thought about it, one is sampling. Sampling is like your research and insight. The studio, which is has been my innovation lab. And mixing and mastering has been my form of iteration, my iteration step before it goes out into the world. I'll speak to you about the 3. Sampling is the same thing, it's research and insight. Sampling is cultural literacy. Before you dive into something, you want to get close to it. You want to experience it, hear it, feel it, touch it, get as close as possible to it so you can understand it. I think agencies, let me back up. I think that's the large level of sampling. And when we think about innovation or anything you're into creatively, that's essentially what you're doing, is figuring out how to start. There's a book by Robert Greene I like called Mastery, where he breaks down the different steps of becoming a master. One of the first steps is called, sorry, I forgot the name of the chapter. I can't remember, never mind. But either way, in that chapter, it talks about how we spend our time as creators absorbing so much of the information that we're interested in, that when we start actually outputting, we end up reflecting or sounding like, or, you know, our influences. I thought about that. But that's again, that's all sampling in that same area. The studio has been my innovation lab, where nothing's final, where we test, we tweak, we cry. There's been nights in the studio where I've recorded a vocal maybe 100 times. Not that it was wrong, but it just wasn't right yet. Innovation takes patience, it takes curiosity, it takes the courage to say, I don't know if this is gonna work, but we're gonna keep trying until it actually does work. And it may be 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and I've kept the house up all night long with my like redos and stuff like that, but it's very important. And lastly, the mixing and mastering. That's like has been my iteration phase when I think of innovation. It's where we kind of complete the ideas and bring those ideas to a close. Now, of course, mix A doesn't go out, and I'm sure, Matt, you know, we got down to like mix G in some of your records, and the first master doesn't go out. Sometimes it's master A, sometimes it's master B. Radio, I know we sent out about 4 masters for The Internet is Fake this year. So these are the iterations. Sometimes they don't go out, and the most important thing to know about that is no first ideas ever go out. The first idea, you know, that's the inspo, that's the blessing, but by the time it's the Aquafina bottle and the logo, it's gone through so many iterations to get there. And I've come to learn, just through thinking about this conversation or the fact that I had to do this, that innovation for me in the studio has been simply turning the authenticity up, turning the ego down, turning the risk up, and turning the fear all the way down. So, again, I'll say it again. And there's more to it than mixing than that, but when I know that we have something special, I was just working on a record for a singer, Ronnie Lux. She's in the house tonight. Oh, this morning, I'm sorry. And there's something special about when you achieve a mix, and it's not really just the right level, it's really, again, turning the authenticity up, turning the ego down, turning the risk up, and turning the fear down as I'm over the faders. And I think you do that enough times, you'll get something timeless. And I think we've been able to achieve that time and time again. And it could also be something that inspires more art. Radio B, my brother, he did a poem called When 16 Wasn't Enough, inspired by interaction with police that didn't go so friendly for him. That record ended up being on a project called All Art Ain't Pretty. No, Jesus Never Wore a Suit, sorry about that. So many albums. Which ultimately inspired Niels Westergaard, the muralist that I was speaking to you about earlier, to include Radio B in a mural that's also on Broad Street, highlighting police brutality and the victims of that. So I think good art, innovation always inspires more art. In my career, I've always done new things. Every album is brand new. Even if it takes me, like this time frame, it's taking me forever to drop a new album. Why? Because I've been in the studios scratching and digging deep for something new. Years ago when I proposed there was a time frame in the, I guess, mid to early 2000s where DSLR and digital cameras were the thing for artists. They were shooting videos, everywhere was DSLR. We got a DSLR, shoot your video, let's take pictures. And at the time, I was really like, nah, if everybody's doing it, why do I have to do what everybody's doing? So one of the things that helped me break, and shout out to like VCU and the art kids that I was dealing with there, we started shooting our content on film way back. And I'm talking like early 2000s. That sounds like way back, but in the course of art, where people were not connecting, they were doing digital connections. I thought film, photography, analog sounds in the studio. I have a hybrid digital analog studio in my home. I go for the real. I think innovation is found in the heart. There's one other thought that I want to leave. Not one other thought, I have some more things to say, but before I wrap this up, I feel like we're all creators here, and something hit me the other day. The longest journey any of us as creators or artists must take is 12 inches. That's the distance between our minds and our hearts. So some people ask me about the journey, but once I realized the journey was getting here and staying here, it became, all the doors open up. So I encourage you, if you're stuck here, take that 12-inch walk down to here in your creative process.
Amen.
Gosh. Okay, all right, sorry. The closing, I wrote this part down. So I'm gonna take you back to where I started. When I was first asked to speak on innovation, I didn't particularly think I belonged to the conversation, but I learned something. That wasn't a lack of qualification. It was the beginning of innovation. Because innovation doesn't show up as confidence, or it shows up as curiosity. It shows up as discomfort. It shows up as someone asking you to step into a room you're not sure you're ready for. I didn't get here because I cracked any major codes. I got here by doing the things that I've always done, which was taking invisible ideas and making them something you could particularly feel. And when I look around this room, I realize that all of you that's what we all have been doing. If you're a creator, you think, we've all been doing this the whole time. So if you've ever reframed a problem, remixed something familiar, or said what if when everybody said that's how it's gonna be, or that's how it's always been, then you're not aspiring to innovate. You're already doing it. Different tools, same muscles. So if you walk out of here thinking that I'm not an innovator, or if you walk out of here thinking that you're not an innovator, or I'm not an innovator, or everybody here isn't an innovator, I hope you leave knowing that innovation happens when every time humans pay attention, care deeply, and take risk with the things they already have. Thank you for listening. Thank you for creating. Thank you for letting me be a part of this conversation. Because as it turns out, innovation belongs to all of us.
Stay on up here. Who wants a poster of Michael?
Oh, yeah.
All right, first question.
Quick one, but how many Rubik's Cubes have you cracked?
Yo, so, you know what? I forgot about my things. I was gonna pass around some of my artifacts, and I was like, yeah, so I'll just show them to you. I'll come over here, sorry. How many Rubik's Cubes? So I have 3 Rubik's Cubes, and I try to resolve those Rubik's Cubes every day. So I do them. I just learned to do it in the last few weeks. I called my mom and was like, hey mom, guess what? Guess who's a genius? So, I'll show you some of my artifacts. These are like studio things. This microphone here, it's an AKG P420. This microphone has recorded about 80% of the artists in Richmond, Virginia. It's a very special microphone. It's changed my life. This is my studio log of all the things that all the albums that I've worked on. Some of this year, but mostly this year, but my studio log and how much work it takes. This is what the innovation work looks like. This is a microphone spit guard. I know this is kind of like super basic, but this is the very first spit guard I ever had that my mom purchased for me when I was 16. So I keep it in the studio. I tell people that all the time, like, yeah, my mom bought me that. Headphones, some of my closest friends. I actually bought some cassettes. I felt it was pretty appropriate to bring some of my cassettes of some of my albums. I think that was something else we brought back, Richmond artists, especially in the age of digital media, MP3s and all of that jazz. We wanted to bring it back to something textile, things people could actually feel. And during the process, we actually, Richmond artists, made it very, very popular again to put our records on cassette and vinyl. So I brought that. This is the actual Mary J. Blige 411 tape. This sent me down my path. This is the tape. I look at it every day. It sits on my desk, and I'm like, damn, it's you. This is the tape. And that was the boombox that started this whole journey for me. Oh, my Rubik's Cube. So this is like my little fun thing. I'm sure many people resolve Rubik's Cubes, but yeah, that's it. It's just some water. So.
Where's Sophia from the Valentine? I think we need to.
That's right, it's an artifact.
Artifacts.
Yeah, my artifacts.
Excellent talk, by the way. Thank you for being here. You mentioned owning a studio, so what is it called again? And like, do you
The
take
Purple
clients?
House.
Okay. Do you take more people, or is it like very private?
Yeah, I take everybody.
Okay, sweet. What is it called again?
The Purple House.
Purple House.
Come see me. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, the Purple House, and you can follow me at Michael Millions. Reach out to me out. I work in all genres. Oh yeah, I work in all genres. No questions from me.
Restricted question.
I have two questions. One, do you know how to use a remote?
No, I'm almost.
We're working on that innovation stuff. Okay. So I'm just gonna, I know you personally, so I want you to tell people about your red Ferrari and the idea of it that you explained to me and Rudy when we were in the studio with you. I think it's important.
I talk to a lot of people, man. Let me think. The concept of the red Ferrari, I have this idea, and I tell people about believing in themselves, and belief is like the number one core part of anything you do. And I always tell people I live my life by actually thinking about it and visualizing the things I want to do and see. And so the red Ferrari is like a car I kind of want. And I tell people all the time, once the red Ferrari shows up, then they're in trouble. But it's really rooted in believing in myself and living a life based on a strong belief system and where I'm headed and my purpose here on earth. I'm only here on assignment, so once that's done, we'll be out.
Hi. In the spirit of nurturing creativity and Christmas, what would you suggest as a gift for a 4-year-old who runs to get the vacuum cleaner attachment and use it as a microphone?
Yo, I mean, anything you could do to nurture an artist, buy them a play microphone. See what happens. Get them a keyboard. See what happens. Bring it closer. Anything that you could do to nurture that. Because you might find, my daughter, she taught herself to, and shout out to Malia, and Devia, my wife, she did the slides. But you gotta, as a parent, you have to nurture every facet or every bright light in your kid. So when my kid wanted to play the ukulele, we bought her 3 ukuleles. She taught herself to play. Then she wanted to play the guitar. We got her a guitar. Now she grew up and she became a hairstylist. But at the time, we were nurturing every light. And she has a salon in her house, so we're still nurturing the light. So I say just nurture the light. If you see it, hey, if they playing with it, that's how I did. So, and technology's here, so.
One more. I told you this was a friendly audience before you came up to talk, so I hope you had a good time.
I did.
I just want to know, does Mary J. Blige know how much she influenced you, and are you giving her a commission?
Nah, I don't think so. Nah, she doesn't know. And it's funny because it's not actually my favorite tape. I love it, but it's not my favorite. It's just it's the first tape that was actually mine. So I keep it around.
Oh, okay, radio. Just because it's you.
In connection to the Ferrari, can you, because it's all a lesson in manifestation, can you tie that back together with the burger theory? Can you give them the burger theory?
What burger theory?
The burger theory. The good meal theory.
Sorry.
Come on, yo. Come on. Don't act brand new.
All right. So I do this often with artists in the studio. Sometimes they come in and they're very unsure of themselves some days, and they don't know what they're gonna do. And like I told you, I live a life where I expect things, I visualize it and I expect it. And some people are like, they think of like these big things and they don't happen. So I break it down to a smaller scale and I say, hey, well, what did you eat today, Peter?
Eggs.
Eggs, did you make them?
Yeah.
Were they good?
Yeah.
Before you made the eggs, right, did you think about the eggs? You just said, yo, I'm gonna make myself some eggs.
Yeah, sort of.
And I'm gonna make them good.
Yeah.
All right. And when you plated your eggs, they were good, in fact. Well, I think that concept stretches across. Like, so I tell people, I ask literally that question, what did you eat? Or did you order something? Just the other day, my friend said, I ordered some wings and some fries from somewhere. And I'm like, was it good? And they're like, it was excellent. I said, before you went there, did you think about those wings? Did you visualize what you were going to have? And then when you got it, was it delicious just as you expected? And they were like, yeah. I said, well, you are creating your life just at a small scale. And I'd say anytime you think about, and I use it with food, this analogy with food a lot. He tossed out the burger, but basically so I don't eat food when I don't know what I want. And you shouldn't do anything in life when you don't know what you want. When you do know what you want, if you're going out to dinner or planning a time out, you're gonna, you're anticipating the moment, anticipating the meal, and when it's delicious to you, you can mark that under your checkbox that you created that moment for yourself. So take that moment, take just eating every day and the fact that your food is good to you, and expand that to your dreams and ideas. Even when I thought about doing this here, I watched a bunch of videos and they weren't in this room. I wanted to be in this room. Every time I come to Martin, I think this is one of the coolest spaces. And I visualized it. And then when I came here today and it was like, oh, we're in this room, score. But it was just like how I imagined it. And so take that concept with you. Even if it's food, if you leave here today and your food is good, or you got a good parking spot, or someone complimented you, these are things you can design in your life, and you can scale them up to bigger ideas, and bigger desires. If I knew at 9 that I would now be 2-time Grammy nominated, I wouldn't have believed you, but I knew in life that I wanted to change or have my name changed through the art. So.
I'm gonna end with a little, we got Mom. I'm gonna wrap it up. But it's Mom, okay.
So, just so you know, Michael has been working music components since before since before he was potty trained. He was in diapers. And he knew how to work the component system for the music in the house. Wow. And it's always amazing hearing what happened to my tools. So to know that I probably had some missing vacuum pieces at this point is pretty interesting. And I have to say, Mike's dad and I are super proud of him. And he's definitely become a philosopher as he's gotten older. And he dropped some really, really nice nuggets today, and we're really super proud of him. Thank you.